Good morning, Glory! It's time for Behind the Cooler. It's been weeks in the making and waiting in the wings patiently, but this morning I finally get to tell you about the carnation, the most underappreciated flower in the cooler. A lot of people consider carnations a cheap flower. In reality, they are the most highly recognized flower of royalty. Literally, it gets no higher than God's flower. Carnations have history, meaning, and royalty behind them, more so than any other flower. And let's start at the beginning. Carnations are over 2,000 years old. They began in ancient Greece and Rome, where they weren't everyday flowers. They were prized, respected, and reserved for important people and ceremonies. They were used for crowns worn by nobles, royal coronation garlands, offerings to gods and goddesses, sacred rituals, and feasts honoring rulers. Even their scientific name, Dianthus, literally translates to flower of the gods. So cheap? No, try sacred. Their royal connection is they were used in royal weddings, royal funerals, political ceremonies, coronation festivals, and aristocratic feasts. They were woven into crowns and wreaths worn by kings, generals, and high priests, and respected leaders. In medieval Europe, carnations were embroidered into royal garments and crests, symbolizing loyalty, love, and nobility, and divine blessing. People didn't send carnations because they were cheap. They sent them because they were meaningful. There's a military connection to carnations. In ancient Rome, carnations were given to honor soldiers returning from battle. They represented courage, honor, loyalty, and sacrifice. Wreaths of carnations are placed on warriors' heads after victorious campaigns. Temples used carnations in ceremonies dedicated to fallen soldiers. And in the United States during World War I and World War II, red carnations became the symbol of remembrance, military honor, and respect for fallen heroes. They still appear in military memorial work to this day. Carnation oils created the perfume of kings before roses were widely cultivated. Carnations were one of the primary ingredients in luxury perfumes. Their natural scent is spicy, clove-like, warm, and long-lasting, and white are my favorite. I think they smell the best. In medieval courts, carnation oils were used in royal cosmetics, ceremonial oils, high-status perfumes, scented waters for queens and noble women. Carnations weren't just decoration, they were a status symbol. Then there's the Carnation Revolution, which is quite interesting. In 1974, Portugal overthrew a dictatorship in a peaceful uprising called the Carnation Revolution. Why the name? Well, when soldiers marched through Lisbon, citizens placed red carnations into their rifles and gun barrels as a sign of peace and unity, and not one shot was fired. To this day, carnations symbolize peace, freedom, solidarity, and unity. A flower doesn't lead a revolution unless it's pretty powerful. Carnations hold symbolism across many cultures. They carry deep meaning around the world. In Korea, they are used to honor mothers and teachers. In Japan, pink carnations equal deep gratitude. In Spain, they are the national flower, symbolizing passion. And in France, white carnations are used for memorials. In Catholic and Christian symbolism, carnations represent divine love and compassion. And several years ago, our industry went through a phase where it seemed like I was constantly getting in wire orders from wire services, and occasionally a customer would request no carnations because they're cheap flowers. And it was kind of frustrating because these are some of the most culturally significant flowers on earth. And there is a biblical connection to the legend of Mary and the first carnation. As Mary witnessed Jesus carrying the cross, her tears fell to the earth, and where her tears touched the ground, white carnations grew and bloomed. This is why carnations symbolize a mother's eternal love, a mother's grief, compassion, and devotion. However, the story of Mary and carnations is not universal. It shows up mostly in Catholic and some Eastern Christian traditions, but it's not official doctrine and not found in the Bible. It's a Christian legend, not a scriptural event. It's mainly known in Catholic symbolism and medieval Christian art. The color in the story depends on the tradition. This is where some confusion comes in, so let's break that down a little bit. The earliest version in medieval Europe, white carnations were said to have sprouted from Mary's tears. White is associated with purity, grief, and motherly sorrow. This is the oldest documented version. In a later Renaissance version, pink carnations became associated with Mary's tears and motherly love as symbolism evolved. Pink represented maternal affection, compassion, and devotion. This version spread heavily in Catholic art between the 14th and 17th centuries and stuck in certain regions. In modern American tradition, Mother's Day adopted pink carnations as the official flower of Mother's Day, with pink being a symbol of a living mother and white carnations for a deceased mother. You will often see this Mother's Day in churches when they're wearing pink or white corsages. And it's no wonder carnations are so legendary. They are also survivors, lasting 14 to 21 days with proper care. They're strong, reliable, stable, beautiful, consistent, and they hold their own in every arrangement. Carnations may not be the most expensive flower by today's standards, but they are far from generic. They're ancient, royal, sacred, symbolic, revolutionary, international, resilient, meaningful, durable, and historically powerful. Carnations have survived empires, wars, revolutions, religions, politics, cultural shifts, design trends, and 2,000 years of floral evolution. And they are still here and still loved around the world because they are worth keeping. So the next time someone calls carnations cheap, just smile because you will know the truth. Carnations aren't cheap, they're timeless. They're historic, symbolic, and legendary. And they're one of the most important flowers ever grown. And that's what's happening with carnations behind the cooler. Go amuse everyone with your vast knowledge of carnations today. And remember to keep your snapdragon happy, your tulips smiling, and I will see you next time.